So he's not listed as dying from cancer. He's not listed as dying from chemotherapy. He's listed as dying from ARDS. So they hide the statistics, and they manipulate things. You know, another woman I know, her 30-year-old son developed lymphoma, which is what my father had died from a year ago, and he went the conventional route and was treated and got rid of his lymphoma, but a year later the chemotherapy gave him leukemia. And because he has a high security job, he didn't want to take the cannabis approach, even though that's what his parents were advising. And he went into an experimental program, and within days of being treated, he almost died. So they wisely decided not to continue with the treatment, but also, you know, with the clinical trial, the drug companies sponsoring it don't want, you know, dropped him from the program because he would become a bad statistic. So he went on to cannabis therapy, and now the doctors, within a week or two of him starting it and not even reaching the highest doses that should be used, within that 2-week period, the doctors don't understand why his circulating cancer cells, known as blast cells, have decreased by essentially 50%.
Now, just out of curiosity, was he honest in telling them what he was? Okay.
No.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that amazing? You know, I often want to just run tons of copies of Run from the Cure by Rick Simpson and distribute them to all medical professionals.
You know what?
Are just not aware of it, you know?
It's not that they're just not aware of it. Again, I think what we have is a society that selects for blips to be in position of power. So in order to get through, for example, med school, you don't have to be a creative thinker. You've got to be able to memorize. Well, memory for many people is best achieved by having low levels of cannabinoids, you know, because it helps promote forgetting. And that's what, you know, they have so much to learn in such a short period of time that you have that whole issue. And then they've invested so much, it costs so much to go through medical school, et cetera, that, you know, you wind up investing in the status quo. And, you know, all of those things kind of conspire together. Let me give you a couple of what I think are really pathetic examples. We, Cannabis Science, in conjunction with the Phoenix Tears Foundation, put together an abstract that we submitted for a poster session at the International Cannabinoid Research Society, which had a meeting, I think it was in July, outside of Chicago. And our abstract was denied. What we were showing is medical data showing cancer cures. Person with prostate cancer never took anything but cannabis, cured. All right? They denied us our application, our submission for that paper to present at that meeting because they said it was not properly formatted and was not up to the standards of the society. And then
was shocked.
Yeah, I was so pissed about that, and I was on my way to Vermont, where I used to be a member of the Vermont Cancer Society. So I sent out a letter and basically that paper to 20-something members of the Vermont Cancer Society, saying, you know, I'm going to be in Vermont. I'd love to talk to you and show you what's going on. Not one person responded.
Wow.
You know, they're stuck in their world. And, you know, the current reality of chemotherapy and perspectives are, you know, what funds them and what sustains them. And they don't want to be associated with, you know, even knowing that there might be this viable alternative, because then if they knew about it, they might have to actually act in order to, you know, be honest with themselves.
Wow. Talking about not being able to face the truth. That puts a whole new perspective on it, doesn't it?
Well, to even learn whether there is a truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it because this information, once I started digging on this plant, is overwhelming. It is just amazing. You talk about it can cure people. It can cure our planet. I didn't know. I just found out the other day that the roots itself from the hemp plant actually detoxify soil and take out radiation. And I thought, wow, you know, so many people.
No, it's an amazing plant for many reasons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very unique. There's nothing that taps into our endocannabinoid system with the breadth and depth of the marijuana plant and with the variability that we see because of it having so many cannabinoids and flavonoids and, you know, these other biologically important molecules. The fact that you can have such strain by strain variation and the fact that each individual human being is really different from the other. We have unique needs in terms of what will help us restore our biochemical balances. And therefore, you know, when you're dealing with a totally non-toxic plant like marijuana, you know, nobody's going to die from it. The worst that's going to happen is somebody has an unpleasant, you know, bad trip, basically. But what we can do is we can explore and experiment and find what seems to make us feel better. And one of the things that we see is that people who are very sick with a variety of illnesses, when they start to take cannabis and start to use high doses, they don't get high, they get normal. That's all sick people are trying to do is feel better. And we've outlawed feeling better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, it's almost as if our bodies are predisposed to react favorably biologically to cannabis.
Well, they are. They are because our endocannabinoid system regulates everything, and because the thermostat for that activity was set in the past when we were dirtier and needed more inflammation. Now that we are cleaner and live longer, we need to tone down the inflammation. We do that by increasing cannabinoid activity.
Amazing.
Isn't it amazing? It's also simple,
really,
you know?
Yeah, it's simple. I suppose when you look at it as a trail, as a step by step. But yeah, for most people, I think, you know, the big picture is simple. When you get down to it, it's simply complicated. I don't know how to explain that, what I'm trying to say there. But you do a good job. You do a good job of putting it all in perspective. Now,
well, you know, I'm a simple person, and I have to be able to explain it all to myself. So I have to make it simple.
Do you have any advice for our listeners on, you know, how to educate themselves further on this topic, and, you know, how to educate their family, how to take control of their health, maybe some of the stuff that we do have access to legally? Is there anything that we can get our hands on that can give us, you know, the benefits? Hemp oils, through the whole natural foods, anything like that?
Well, you know, hemp oil does have the essential fatty acids that are necessary, you know. I'm not convinced that hemp oil is as good as fish oil. I think fish oil, for a variety of biochemical reasons, may actually be better for increasing some of the anti-inflammatory activity, but I'm not 100% convinced of that. My biggest advice is that everybody should educate themselves, be armed with knowledge and the truth, and become active. We've got to take this into our own hands. We can no longer allow the idiots that run our government. I mean, just look at the economic disaster they create. Listen to the stupidity that comes out of their mouths. And I don't care if you're talking Republican or Democrat. In my mind, they're all a bunch of political whores. They're run by the special interest wealthy groups, be it pharmaceutical companies, oil industry, chemical industries. You know, we, the people, have to take back our country. And that does not mean do it in an idiot, regressive manner. It means let's get some flips controlling the country. Let's get a science-based approach to what's real rather than the delusions of some religious fanatics and you know, and idiots that are running the world now. And let's make a new world, because if we don't, we're not going to survive. We're going to pollute ourselves out of existence. So we're at a very, very critical time for man's future because of our population, because of our because of our environmental destruction and our use and abuse of resources. We've got to change the whole paradigm of our social structure. We can no longer have one based on continuous growth, which you could do, when essentially the world was young. When mankind was young, we had nothing to do but grow. Now we've got to grow smart, not bigger. And we've got to grow smarter. We've got to pollute less. We've got to recycle more. We've got to develop new technologies. We can no longer run around with our head up our butts.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you for saying that. There are a lot of people out there who are very supportive of what we do here and are in the know and are still quiet. And these are the people that we need to motivate. These are the people that are, they're completely aware of the truth and what it's all about, and they are still taking a back seat, not wanting to get involved, not wanting to open their mouth, that they are even educated on this topic. And, that's where the trouble lies. So I encourage everyone to heed your advice, and yes, please get active, because now is not the time to be passive. We can't do it anymore.
Well, people, for example, what we're trying to do at Cannabis Science is we're going to be establishing cancer clinics in another country. I can't go into specifics because we haven't made a press release, but basically what we want to do is give people the option that we are denied here in the land of the free.